Hello everyone. So this is lecture 2 for database management and warehousing concept. So in the lecture 1 we have discussed about what is data, what is database and what is database management system, that is DBMS, right? And other important terminologies. So if you have not watched that lecture, so please watch it, okay? And then you can come back to this particular lecture. So in this lecture we are going to discuss about database design process, right? So what are the different steps involved in a database design process? So that we are going to see in this particular video. Okay, so the first step is the requirement analysis. So you need to understand what is your requirement, like so which type of data is you are going to store in a database, like what data is going to store in your database, then what is the purpose of this particular database, like why we are designing it, what are the applications that we are going to build on the top of it. So the answer of such question we should know, and we should collect some information regarding the requirement of our database, right? So first we should know what data needs to be stored, right? Then you should know what is the purpose of this database, right? Purpose of database or application of this database, right? Application of DB. Then what are the applications that we are going to build on the top of it, right? So what are the applications we are going to build on top of it, right? So such questions you should ask to gather the requirement, right? So what data needs to be stored? What is the purpose of database? Then what are the applications that we are going to build on top of it, right? So this all comes under requirement analysis, right? So in short, we must find out what users want from database, right? So basically users are our end customer, right? So what user wants from the database, so that we should know, right? So this is the first step of a requirement analysis. So the next step is conceptual database design. So once we gather the information in the first step, in the requirement analysis step, so this information is used to develop a high level database schema. So this information is used to develop high level high level description of a data. So high level description of a data means what are the different types of tables are there, right? Tables, or you can say relations. What are the different types of relations are there? What are the attributes, right? So what are the attributes are there of this particular relation? Then what are the constraints you should implement, right? So what are the constraints, right? So all this comes under conceptual database design. So basically this is the first step of our ER model. Okay, so this is the first step of our ER model. So once we get the problem statement or our requirement analysis is done and we get the problem statement, we can work on the ER model. So basically in the conceptual database design, we are first focusing on a ER schema, develop a ER schema, right? This is basically a conceptual database design. So this is basically a conceptual ER schema which is based on the problem statement, that is that we got from the requirement analysis, right? So the third step is logical database design. So in the first step, in the requirement analysis, we know what are the problem statement, right? What are the information needs to be stored in a database. Then in the second step, we have developed a ER schema, right? So in the third step, it is logical database design step. We should convert the conceptual database design. So whatever we have designed in the step 2, conceptual design, into logical design, right? Into logical design. So when we talk about relational model, that is RDBMS, that is relational database management system, and we are dealing with a relational model, then we should convert ER schema into relational schema. Okay. So in the second step, when we are developing the ER schema, we know what are the different entities, right? We also know what are different types of attributes, right? So we know entity, we know attributes, we know relationships among them, right? So based on this, we are developing a relational schema, right? So this comes under a logical database design. So in few of the reference book, if you see this conceptual database design and logical database design, they are considering is a logical database design only. So yeah, so that is also we can say, but we are considering it as a two different steps. So in some of the reference book, it is considered as a one step, so that is also fine. So basically, what we are doing in the logical or conceptual database design, we are developing a ER schema and converting it to a relational schema. Okay, so that is the important thing, right? So the first three steps of a database design process deals with ER model. Okay, so this is a part of our syllabus. So first three steps of the database design, that is requirement analysis, getting the problem statement, and then designing the conceptual database design, then logical database design. This all comes under the design of ER model, right? So once we are done with the third step, ER model, then we have fourth step, that is schema refinement. So in some of the reference book, you can see, okay, in logical database design, we are just developing a AR schema and converting it to a relational schema. With the schema refinement, we are just modifying the relational schema here. Okay. So what we do in the schema refinement here, basically we identify here. So we have to identify. So we identify potential problems or issue with our or issues with our relational schema design. Okay. So sometimes what happen, okay, once we develop the relational schema, suppose in a particular table we have more than say 15 20 attributes, and while we are updating it, right, so it's called anomalies. So there are different types of anomalies, so like updation, deletion, insertion. So these type of anomalies can occur when we are storing so much of attributes in a particular table. So it can cause in update, right, it can cause various anomalies, you can say, right? And also we can say there will be a duplicate data also, right? Duplicate entry of data, that is redundant data. So that is redundant data, right? So in order to overcome various anomalies, this redundant data, duplicacy of data, so we need to do the schema refinement. Okay. So what are the steps involved in the schema refinement? So that we are going to discuss during the normalization concept. Okay. So normalization concept deals with the schema refinement part. So here we'll discuss about various normal forms, various normal forms. So we have normal forms in our syllabus, right? So we are going to discuss these various normal forms. Okay, so this is the fourth step. So in the first three step, we have developed a ER model and converted to a relational schema. Then we are just looking at, then we are identifying like what are the possible issues can occur, like for update, insert, and delete operations. What are different types of anomalies can occur, and there will be a duplicacy of data, redundant data. So it will take a lot of storage, right? So storage computation cost will be there. So if we don't refine the data, so yeah, so for that, to overcome such issue, we have to do a schema refinement, right? And for this, we follow normalization. So there are different various normal forms, so that we are going to discuss in the upcoming lectures. Okay. So the next step is physical database design. Okay. So once we have done the ER model, once we have developed the ER model, right? We have developed relational schema, right? We have done the refinement also. Then after that, the next step is to develop a physical database design, right? So this is the main step where we create a tables, right? So we create or define the tables. So define tables. So this comes under DDL, data definition language. So how to create a table, how to create a database, like, so what are the different types of attribute we should have, then column name, so then data types, right, and constraint. So all those things we have to do this by creating a table or defining a table, right? Then there are some indexes also, indexing also. So creating index on a particular table, that's also comes under physical database design, right? So schema, once we are done with the schema refinement, the next step is physical database design. So here we create a table in a database, right? By using our any DBMS system, like by simple using SQL statement. So for this, we are using SQL statements, right? So DDL is a part of SQL. So that's it from the this particular step. That is the fifth step. Then the next step is security design, right? So security design is basically deals with the identifying of users. So which are our users? Okay, what are the operations they are going to use? So identifying users, okay, and different roles. So like what are the operations they can do? Different roles. Again, giving access to them. Okay, so access also, access of different tables or views, right? So this comes under security design. So basically in this sixth step, what we are doing for each role and for each user group, we must identify the parts of a database that they must able to access, right? We have to give the access to that particular tables only. So they should not be able to access different table other than what we have given to them, right? Yeah, so identifying users and different roles, giving access to them on a different tables, right? So this all comes under a security design. Okay, so there are different aspect also, but that we are not focusing in the particular course, right? So this is last step of our database design. So the first step is requirement analysis. Requirement analysis. From this, we will get our requirement or what are the purpose. So suppose we have given the problem statement, right? Now in the second step, what we are doing here from this is a step one, right? This problem statement, requirement analysis. Then what we are doing in the step two, we are developing a ER schema here, ER model here from the getting problem statement. Then we are converting this ER schema to a relational schema here, relational schema. Okay. So what is ER schema? What is relational schema? That we are going to discuss in the next lecture. So the next step is schema refinement, right? Schema refinement. So here we are identifying different types of anomalies that can cause an duplicacy of our data, which will take up a lot of storage. So we are doing a schema refinement for that. And after that, we are developing a physical database, right? Using SQL. So we are dealing with a relational database. So SQL is used for that. So this is a complete steps for a database design process. Like so, problem statement, AR schema, relational schema, schema refinement, then physical database schema. So this AR schema, we are going to discuss ER model in this, and relational schema also. Like it will comes under ER model. Then schema refinement comes under normalization or normal form. So this is also part of our syllabus, right? And then physical database design it deals with the SQL, then data types and integrity constraint, right? So if you look at our syllabus, so ER model, so ER model, this is the first three steps, right? ER model and developing a relational model also. It will come under ER model. Then in the next step, we are doing the schema refinement, that is normal form or normalization. And then we are creating a physical database using SQL, then integrity constraint, then indexing data types, right? So all this thing comes under physical database design. So in the next video, we are going to discuss about ER model. So this is the first topic from our syllabus. So, but these are the important concept that you should know if you don't have any background in a database. So if you watch these first two lecture, then you are good to go with the other concepts, right? So please watch lecture one and this lecture. So then we can start with the ER model. Okay. Thank you. That's it from my side.